I'm Raymond Reddington. I run the most intricate and lucrative criminal operation in existence. I'm at the apex of the criminal pyramid. And yet here I am. I'm still here at the tippy top and thriving. Always have. I feel confident.
Why is that?
God doesn't want me and the devil isn't finished. If it's a friend of mine, they're either the very best or the most fun. Often both.
In this world, there are no sides, only players.
Agent Keen, I have a tip. You're a winter, not an autumn. Stop wearing olive.
I find cockfighting to be abominable. However, truth be told, I do love fried chicken.
It's good to meet you. I've heard nothing but terrible things. You made a devil's bargain. Did you really expect me to stop being the devil?
You are aware you need to clean and oil these from time to time, right?
Janice, my sincerest apologies. I'll take a rain check on the stroganoff. It smells delicious. The only thing that is real is the present, and you've plundered it. Robbed it of the very geniuses that might have averted the dystopia you so fear. Indeed, perhaps, even the very one who might have devised a means to revive your sad, tired, frozen ass. You know, as my father used to say to me, just because you've been bumped up to first chair in the orchestra doesn't mean you can compose a symphony.
You know what my problem with religion is? Man. Like anything that has the potential to be beautiful, man will turn it into something ugly.
Say what you will about Frederick, but someone who's willing to burn the world down to protect the one person they care about. That's a man I understand.
I believe wisdom is wasted on the old.
All you can do is part with it, but very few will take it. Least of all the people closest to you.
Once you cross over, there are things in the darkness that can keep your heart from ever feeling the light again.
You know the problem with drawing lines in the sand? With a breath of air, they disappear. I have found in my experience people rarely change. And when they do, they're not to be trusted.
Revenge isn't a passion, it's a disease that eats at your mind and poisons your soul. My friend here is still making the bed he'll have to lie in for the rest of his life. But my bed is made. And I assure you, my bed accommodates a broad spectrum of behavior.
Without pain, there can be no real pleasure. Without the lows, you have no way to measure the highs. Case in point, this is going to make killing you infinitely more pleasurable. We all have the devil in us, Harold, but the best of us have angels too. We become who we are. You can't judge a book by its cover. But you can by its first few chapters, and most certainly by its last.
This is Lucas Ryder, executive producer. You're listening to The Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
Hey everybody, we are live from the Blacklist Exposed here on the podcast after the series finale has just completed, weather-related delays and all. I am Troy Heinrichs, and with me is always the ever wonderful, marvelous, fantastic. What's your name, dude?
Well, I assumed you were like, I don't know. I didn't know. I've never done it like this. What are you doing? I'm Aaron Peterson. It's the end of the road. Is that some bullshit or what?
Bullshit.
Oh, I just want to know. Did you love it? Did you go, or did you go, that was bullshit? Literally.
It was definitely that, because number 2 still is missing.
So you're forever going to be saying, who does number 2 work for?
Who does
right?
number 2 work for?
Forever. Dear God.
Dear
Should get this out of the way real quick. Thanks for joining us yet again on the final season of The Blacklist. We're going to discuss the final episodes of The Blacklist, 00 Raymond Reddington. Part 1 was written by Katie Bossis and Noah Schechter and directed by Michael Caracciolo, and was written by Lucas Ryder and directed by Michael Caracciolo. And I'm sure the whole time we've done this show, I've never said his name correctly. So I apologize, Michael. It is what it is.
or Katie's name. So I'm glad that you finally also said something wrong at the last. It just feels like 10 years of Aaron saying things wrong. It's Katie Bacchus would be the
Is
name.
it Bacchus?
It's Bacchus.
It's Bacchus. Okay, well, Katie Bacchus. Sorry.
It's all good. Katie
I'm still in Stunville.
Yeah.
I'm still in Stunville.
I feel like I was kicked in the nuts. The Rocky Mountain oysters.
There's so many jokes. I don't know where to look. I'm going to say this. All right. There was 9/10 of a great finale here. 8/10 of a great finale here. I actually really liked a lot of it. I don't in any way, and we've had time to sit on it. We saw it a little bit before it aired. I've had time to sit on it, and I don't feel any different. I've seen it a couple times. I don't feel any different. I want to, because I know everybody works really, really hard on this show. I know there's a whole cast and crew that does a fantastic job. It's hard to nail a finale, especially, this deep into the run. So I got to ask you. Well, first I got to get this shout out first. So a long time ago, Mr. John Bokenkamp himself gave Troy and I a bottle of this fine wine as a thank you for doing this podcast. And he was not bribing us, because if you've ever heard me talk, I'm very, very honest, and he's always been very, I guess, appreciative, or he just tolerated me. But he sent this to us, and I swore I was never going to open this bottle until the season or the series finale, which should have been 8/22, but it wasn't. So I've held on to it, and I even had to check to make sure, is this wine still good? Am I going to be drinking like liquid poison? What is going on at this point? But it is still good. It's a very, very nice bottle. So I am drinking this bottle of red wine right now. In honor. So I am saying thank you to John Bokenkamp and John Eisendrath for the wonderful show. Ups and downs. There's a lot of great memories, a lot of great show there. But we are talking about the finale, and I'm not gonna Toro. I'm gonna which I think the Bull should have been number 2. Really. Yeah. If you think about it. Maybe that was number 2. That's why you don't actually get it, because Bull has no name. Just Bull, just Bull, just like Night Court, just Bull.
I did drink my bottle during the actual real finale of the show, which was 8/21 and 8/22. So that's why I do not have my bottle this week, because I celebrated heavily that night for what was confirmed.
Your big reveal, your coming out party?
The big reveal, the big coming out party, the thing that this podcast was able to predict way back in the beginning. And confirmation indirectly, as John Eisendrath promised in the episode this evening, and hasn't wavered since 8/22. They haven't talked about who Red was for the last 2 seasons.
Do you feel like, and I'm going to grab my fedora while you answer this question. So if you're watching the video, I'm going to disappear for a second, because I got to have a fedora on.
Sure.
Do you feel most fans are going to accept that answer? And explain what your answer is, because a lot of people might not know what your answer is.
Yeah.
My God, you love to explain it.
Yeah. One more time, with feeling for the entire Blacklist world. So a lot of us early on in the day came up with the concept that Reddington was an imposter. There was a group of actors that were auditioned for this part, one of them being Kiefer Sutherland. And Kiefer Sutherland didn't get the job, so we postulated, is that the word, postulated? That
I don't know. I'm too busy putting this bitchin' hat on.
It would be a Scooby mask, and you'd rip off the Scooby mask, and instead of James Spader, it would be Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous theory there. Yeah.
Ridiculous theory. And then about midway through season 1, when we were doing the show on TV Talk versus Golden Spiral Media, we had a fan who chimed in and said, well, wasn't it weird that Lou Lee kissed Red, but Red said, like, she's not into guys. So could there be a sex change thing going on? And we were like, that's kind of interesting. And then it was after the conversation with Liz and Red on the stairs at the end of season 1, when we heard about Liz's mom being dead, that we've seen a John Eisendrath show before. It's called Alias. We know the mom's not dead. Therefore, would it be possible if the mother was actually Raymond Reddington? And that's why Red isn't Liz's father, as he says at the end of season 1, episode 10 at that point. So, by the start of season 2, we already had what was called the mother theory at the time, because we didn't know the name of the mother at that point in time. And then as it went along throughout the show's history, obviously more fans kind of picked up on it, especially after Kate May, season 3, episode 19, if my memory is not failing me yet. And
right.
that's when we came up with the hashtag Red Arena, as most people fans know. So with Agnes's comment tonight of Pinky, you're such a mom, I just can't help it, from Red, we are more solidified now, even more so than we have been in the last 2 seasons, coming out of the end of season 8. So that is the mother theory and where it came from. And now we're here at the end of all things.
That's cool. You still didn't answer my question. Do you feel like people are going, most fans that were against it are going to be on board with it yet? Or because in my mind, I think people are putting politics into it, which is the problem.
Yeah, that I think that's the challenge that we're going to face with this, is that there's people have certain feelings about topics, situations. We're not going to get into it tonight. It's been debated about ad nauseum for the last 10 years. The big thing that we want to just talk about is that a lot of people, when that dropped from Agnes today on the show, then a lot of people were like, confirmation. We finally, yep, he's definitely the mom. I think there were a lot of people that were, we'll call it the 3 camps again, right? There was the camp of, it's 100% Katerina Rostova. There was another camp that was like, it's Katerina Rostova, but I sure as hell don't like it. And then there was a third camp that was like, you know what? There's about 1,000 other possibilities, and this show is stupid. So we just had to go through it. So from what I'm seeing on the hashtag, what I'm seeing from the fans and the commenting, and we're going to get into the fans and comments. Obviously, just go ahead and comment on YouTube, or if you're in the Facebook group, you can comment in the Facebook group as well. We're going to post your questions later on in the discussion as we go through the show. But most people, I think, at this point are accepting of the answer. Whether they like the answer or not, that'll be up for a debate 10 years from now when we have a ATX Film Festival in Austin revival of the panel.
Yeah,
if you
probably.
will. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Does it the trajectory from 8 to now, when we last did a live one of these things, did it track for you? Did it hold? What are your thoughts coming out of the final bull?
Yeah, I think you're trying on that one. Yeah, I think it hold. Wow, I just shook my whole world. That was crazy. So it
was like there was a bull coming stamping through your basement.
They literally have done. You're trying so hard, man. just keep going. Let it come naturally. You know, it's always funnier that way. And hang on, my wine's way over here. I got to bring that closer. No, they never wavered from it. I was actually pleasantly surprised, because I thought once John Bokenkamp left, for those who don't know, he's a showrunner, show creator, and he wrote a lot of some of the best episodes of the Blacklist, in my opinion. And when he left, he swore that, 821 and 822 kind of told his story that he was telling and answered the big questions about who was Red Reddington. People still didn't want to believe that because, they wanted it to be whoever they wanted it to believe. And I thought, there's a possibility in this climate. There's a possibility there's a retcon. There's a possibility we're going to get away from that. And anybody that's listened to this long term knows I wasn't on board with this until, I was never really off it. I always said it was possible, just outlandish. And then the show did as the years went on, continually improved how this works and what it means. And it's not just Katerina didn't become Red Reddington simply to save or to hide and save her daughter. It was also because she always felt that she was a man inside. So it was twofold. So it covers the bases that I feel were necessary for that to be plausible to me, because I'm very sympathetic to the LGBTQ community. And they never wavered. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought for sure there was a chance, because of the climate, that there would be kind of a retcon and they would be, getting away from it, or kind of just trying to make it more confusing or more cloudy. And it never happened. Actually, everything that we saw, remember they were reading Dembe was reading to his grandchild while Red was reading to Agnes, and like all of this stuff that we've seen sprinkled throughout both seasons has been confirming. People just don't want to accept it. And that's their, don't accept it. It's done as far as I'm concerned. Like, I won't have a debate with anyone anymore. I'm just done debating. It's confirmed in every way, shape, or form that I need. It's confirmed. So if you don't like it, that's your right. You do what you want, but it's confirmed. And as for the last 2 seasons, I think it should have ended in 8/22. I just think it would have been a stronger all-around ending. I don't know if it would have, when Megan left the show, if that still would have been the same ending. We'll never know because the show continued. Maybe it would have been a little different. Maybe Red would have died and she took over. We don't know. There could have been a lot of different ways that they went with that. But because of the way the situation worked out, show went on. We had 2 more years, and now we got this death. And the last 2 years have not been its strongest. But the finale was really coming around, I thought, until the last 2 minutes. I really just don't like the bull, man.
We'll get into
the no number 2. I don't know how the no number 2 happens. Like I'm not nitpicking. This isn't nitpicking. This is a legitimate complaint. Number 2 should have been used, and it wasn't. And how you don't, I don't understand that, because the numbers have always been a cool staple of the Blacklist. Now, I guess you could say, well, you never know, or the bull was number 2, but no confirmation of that, I thought, was a missed opportunity.
So here's my thoughts on number 2. My thoughts are that Townsend was the one that knew was the most threatening. We knew about Townsend since season 6 with the Townsend Initiative, which started the whole Tatiana Petrova story, which started the whole going to Latvia and everything, or Lithuania, I forget, the Baltic area. It's late, lots of storms and stuff, also dodging here in the Chicagoland area. And what I think is that Townsend was number 2.
They didn't assign him, though. They did not assign him.
They didn't assign him on the title card, no, because they decided instead to name those episodes, right?
There's no confirmation that that's true. That's just your theory. So
just
I'm saying,
just my theory.
Yeah, that's an opinion. If you want to go with that to make you sleep at night, okay.
Yeah, I would sleep okay if Townsend was 2. I'd sleep okay if Hudson was 2, because he brought down the entire task force, right? That's the closest anybody's gotten to figuring out who Red and Liz and how the connections were. So both of those gentlemen could equally have that spot. I think our conversation last week that we had, for those that didn't listen last week, was that we thought Red should be number 2 because, he's basically a detriment to himself. It was his plan, and
he's 0-0. What is that?
that's not even a number, right?
Not really. No.
But
he's one step away from being Bond, though.
That's true. That is true. 002, is it a different designation in the
007?
I know. But the point is that Red was basically a nuisance to himself, and that's why Liz got killed. So therefore, he was a threat to Liz. If the list was truly things that were going to either expose him or expose Liz in the end, then Red being number 2 would also be a very acceptable answer. He did get a title card, therefore Raymond Reddington cannot be number 2 because he is 000. So,
and I see a lot of comments saying, just because of one comment Agnes says, no, because the whole show.
The whole
show. And once again, I'll say, I don't know how many times I've said this, but I'll say it one more time. If you go back and watch 8/22, the last memory that you see flashback is clearly Red's, and it's of Katerina holding her baby. There's no way it could be anyone but Katerina that has that memory. Sorry.
Right.
Because she is noticeably dead at that time. That was the whole illustration. That was the whole artistic kind of point, was to say, this is his memory. And honestly, I think we probably would have got a more direct confirmation if we hadn't had recent, controversies.
I think we also would have gotten a better confirmation if we hadn't known that season 9 was coming, right? You can't give the answer away if the show's not over. So they gave you enough of an answer so that you feel
back in 8, I think they would have. The world kind of changed a little bit in the last couple of years.
So interesting stuff. What I want to
know, do you care that Red died, or do you just don't like the way that Red died? Because I figured he was, it's one of the options. He's going to die. He's going to get away.
I mean, do we want to talk about this now, the bull now, or do we want to bury the lead and talk about it later? I mean, Red was going to die no matter what. Either Red was going to die at the end of 8 or Red was going to die at the end of the show. Either way, Red was going to die. How he died is a different conversation.
It's not necessarily true. True.
The show's been Shakespearean the whole time. It was either going to be Liz dies, Red kills himself because he can't bring himself to it. Red dies because he's protecting Liz. Red was always going to die. I don't feel that there's any way you get around that because he had this illness, which was mysteriously absent for 2 years until tonight. And then, so we had that going for him. Plus you can't escape death that many times. I mean, Dembe had a nice speech. He explained how he could escape death, but there's a time where it's going to come for you.
Okay. Fans are going to hate me for this. Dembe, Hisham, great speech. He did a great job. It was very, very emotional. Really, really dug it. But who are you describing? Like, what are you talking about? I guess that's the way maybe he saw him. But I'm like, this dude like murdered random people constantly. Where's all this joy you're talking? I mean, yeah, you had a zest for life as he's murdering strangers. Is that? I don't understand that one. Yeah, no. I guess that's how a friend would remember him no matter what. So maybe you can spin it that way. But it was a great speech about somebody that I didn't know who he was talking about. It's like he did everything and it was a celebration of life and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no.
And for those of you in the audience that have been around since the beginning, you know that this is where the Aaron and Troy fights of old like come up, because I thought Dembe was spot on. I think that Dembe knew exactly who Red was, because I'm listening to that speech and going, I totally get this guy. I totally understand. I wake up every morning and I go on a bike ride and I look at the sunrise and I'm just like, man, I'm so thankful to be alive today. But if you come anywhere near my family, I will dick punch you, shoot you, kill you, whatever needs to be, because I'm going to protect the people I love. But I also really love food. I really love great music. I love good stories. So I can understand how Red tried to enjoy life the best he could with the things that were handed to him, which was, I got to run away from the KGB. I got to run away from the United States. I got to protect my daughter. Tom Keene shows up and screws up the whole damn thing.
He's dead.
And yeah, I mean,
giddy.
I totally understand Dembe's point of view. The man raged against everything that was in his way, took it by the horns, and just said, this is how I'm going to live my life and do it my way. And I agree with Dembe. That is the Reddington that I watched for 10 years.
Hey, we are 50%, 100%, whatever. I'm complete opposite of you. I do not agree with that at all. But I do agree that that's probably how he saw him. That's probably how Dembe sees him. That's probably how everybody sees their friend, their family. They kind of give them a pass. But he was an awful person. And I know everybody hates me when I say that, but sorry. Yeah, I know they tried to soften him up here at the end, but no, Red was a freaking monster. Great guy, wonderfully charismatic. He basically freaking, got everybody that he loved killed. Everybody. Dembe almost died, and honestly probably should have, because that would have given a few more stakes to the finale. But I'm glad he didn't. It's just, man. I mean, he got his daughter killed, got Kaplan killed, got poor Tom. Tom got himself killed, which we should just keep it. Yeah,
keep plotting.
He killed bad people. He killed good people. He killed, not intentionally sometimes, but sometimes innocent people died.
Yeah, Naomi got killed also. He actually killed Liz's dad, adopted father, right? Mm-hmm. Killed him outright. It's like, so there are definitely people that died along the way, including Tatiana Petrova. Thank God Ilya's still around. Dom died, because of stress that happened because of what Tatiana did to Dom. Mm-hmm. Red is not innocent. We're not saying he's innocent. Dembe's not saying Red is innocent in his speech.
No, but he's saying he just celebrated life and captivated every moment and spread joy. And it was a, don't get me wrong, great speech. And I really hope when I go, my friends give that same speech. It'd be closer to the truth for me. That's all I'm saying.
I'll tell you, I'll be at the funeral and the speech will be like, Red had, or Aaron had his head up a bull's ass the entire time. That's what I'm going to say.
I like the delivery though. I thought Hisham did a wonderful job.
Amazing job. When you consider where Hisham started this journey, right at the start of the show, coming from a New York firefighter, trying out for a part that was supposed to be,
great story.
Just 1 or 2 episodes, and then boom, series regular by season 3.
One episode, and it was one episode, and it was the second one, right? It wasn't in the pilot.
Yeah.
And it turned into a 10-year career. How awesome is that?
So awesome.
Yeah.
So many doors open.
Wonderful.
Well, let's check in with the fans and see how close the fans were to guessing the ending, because we did have a profiling question of the week last week where we said, how do you guys want the series to end? This is something we've been doing since day one when we were back on TV Talk, and it was the TV Talk talkback question of the week. Now the profiling question of the week. So the final profiling question was, how do you want the series to end? And Flynn said, I want each member of the task force to enjoy their own individual lives after the closing of the task force, and Red to meet current Katarina on an island and have her reveal him as some bodyguard the night of the fire, followed by a montage of Red remembering the last 10 years.
That would have pissed me off royally.
I
mean, you put a lot of thought into it. I'm not knocking your particular preference. Just it would have pissed me off royally. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. It might be up there with a bull, but you never know.
Never know.
Oh my God.
Monica said it was all in Agnes's mind as she's staring at a snow globe of the post office.
No. I see what you did there. Let's put it this way. Did anyone in the stream guess the bull? That he's going to face off with a bull and give it a little toot and then get stomped into a goddamn hole. Anybody guess that? Did anybody guess the bull is going to stop, grab a shovel, dig a hole pretty deep, or just pummel his ass so hard that he buries into a hole? Anybody guess that?
Not even close. No.
Okay.
No.
Really disappointed, guys. I feel like every hint was given that this is where we were going. They showed the bullhorns at one point in the episode. So you got to assume at some point he's going to Toro his ass with a bull and not move, I guess. I told you this. It reminds me of Prometheus. Remember Prometheus? Like Charlize Theron, this big giant saucer's coming right at her, and all she has to do is go right or left, but instead she runs in a straight line. That's how it felt.
And I gotta give a shout out. Like, is that Mark Bennett, like the Mark Bennett that I hung out with back in season 3 when we were in Hollywood shooting the DVD special? Because if it is, hey Mark, good to see you, brother. That's awesome.
Random.
Neil said, I just saw Mark's name come up.
Okay.
So Neil said, Raymond Reddington sitting on a beach telling stories to Aaron and Troy.
Aw, that would be sweet. But I would be too afraid. He'd murder me.
He probably would. Tracy actually had a good one here. Wrestler and Red fight to the death. Closes with years later. We see Agnes. She's on the phone detailing a heist and has a gun next to her. The scene closes out and it's not answered if she ended up with the FBI or took over Red's illegal business, keeping with the lexical ambiguity of the show. The last words we hear Agnes saying are, "It runs in my family."
A little on the nose, but I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Let's see. Douglas said, Red is fatally wounded. Donald is standing over him. Wrestler reaches up behind his head and removes a mask, revealing Elizabeth Keene. She smirks at Red and says, "I know your truth. You're my fade to black."
Oh my God. So it's Mission Impossible. Just wearing that Mission Impossible rubber mask.
Totally Mission Impossible.
Danielle Dealey. Townsend paid off that bull before his death. I like that.
That's beautiful. That's good. I like that.
Poor wrestler. He just gets screwed in every freaking episode, man. He got his man, I guess, but I mean, it's pretty easy to find a guy who's pummeled and stomped into the ground.
That's right.
How mangled was he, right?
See, Darcy said nobody comes back from the dead. Wrestler obviously punches the congressman. Things are revealed in the usual ambiguous way, and Red sails and flies off with Weecha. Not so much.
What happened to Weecha? Like, she just disappeared.
She said she had to go to someplace last episode. Like she got him to the airport and then she went to wherever she was going.
There's a whole lot of buildup like they were going to be together at some point and nothing. Just gone.
Yep.
Gone.
Not as fast as Red should have moved from the bowl, but fast enough. One more. Sam White said the perfect ending would have been the season 8 finale and just leaving it there. But I would like to see Megan tonight, hopefully in a flashback or dreamlike sequence, just for something new.
Yeah, it's obvious she did not want to do that.
Correct.
Or they did not approach her. I don't know the behind the scenes on that, but it would have been nice in some respect, just because she was there for 8 years. So I think there should have been something, or there should my opinion. I mean, it's not like they've forgotten Liz in the last 2 seasons. They've mentioned her 1,000 times. I think there should have been some kind of shadow conversation or something. Red had with himself, maybe, as after the whole Agnes conversation, I think there should have been something with that. But that's just my 2 cents.
And we should make a note. We are live on the East Coast feed in the States. The West Coast feed is currently watching the show.
Well, don't watch this.
Don't watch this if you're on the West Coast.
Don't do it.
Come back and watch the replay later.
Yeah, because it's spoiled, man.
Let's see. Moving on. We do have one final podcast that we're going to do after this podcast, probably in 2 weeks or 3 weeks out, where we're going to have more of an Ask Us Anything type of show. We'll tell you backstories, behind the scenes, whatever we can release now that the show is over. We'll just have some good time. Maybe we'll get some special guests to show up. So just keep an eye on the Twitter account, keep an eye on the Facebook group. We'll definitely keep letting you guys know when that's going to drop. Obviously, stay subscribed to the podcast in your podcast feed. Stay subscribed on YouTube, ring the bell, all that fun stuff. And we'll go from there. But we will have one more goodbye to the Blacklist Exposed. Tonight is just about goodbye to the Blacklist itself. All right. Should we talk about the rest of the show, Aaron?
Is there anything else to talk about? It's really all anybody cares about is that bull.
This is true. This is true.
All right.
All right.
We can.
And we will. So before the bull and the fans trample us to death, let's go ahead and get into this week's case profile.
You got all fancy and shit for YouTube.
Hey, it was the last one. 10 years to figure that out.
It took you 10 years to figure out how to do. We got buttons. All right. Well, episode 21 is a bit of a cat and mouse episode, which opens with Dembe at his mosque getting a call from Red telling him he's a dumb, just like Troy. You're reckless. Don't do it. You wiped your slate clean. Don't do me any more favors. And it turns out, once again, Red was completely right, because this is going to cost Dembe everything he just worked for. How'd you feel about that? Red calling him out on that. Not necessarily the Dembe portion, because we're coming to Dembe later, but
yeah, no, I think it was totally true. Like, why did you risk your life? Why did you risk your career? Why did you risk all the things you've worked for up to this point? Mm-hmm. Things that I helped you achieve as Reddington as well, because I pulled you out of that sex slave ring, gave you an education. Like, why would you throw that all away for the situation we're currently in? No, Red is right on. He's a parent, and he's giving him the what for. And I totally agree.
He's giving him the what for? I haven't heard that in a long time. Like, since my grandpa was alive.
Hey, there's been a lot of grandpa talk thrown around on this episode. So
that's just true.
Figured I'd bring the language.
Red's basically a grandfather. Well, a chase ensues. Red's on the run, and he buys a house just so he can blow that shit up. He's taking it right down. I gotta stop swearing. I can't. Damn wine.
You're totally fine.
He's taking it right down to the foundation. Speaking of, Red wants to remind the world of Glenn. Nothing respectable comes to mind, which is great. And they're going to do something for Harvard, and they're going to get a big bowl of cheeseburger chowder. We get a nice little adieu from Paula here. Are you happy we got to see her one more time? I thought that was very, very sweet. Kind of love that moment overall. Yeah,
I do. I think the whole sequence of Paula was great. You get the Paula and Red relationship, and then when the team comes in after the fact, and Paula's like, yeah, Red slept over. Like, get out of your dirty minds, guys. Like, I mean, Paula was just, you can't replace Clark Middleton. We should obviously take another moment of silence for Clark, who passed away shortly after his Touch a Truck episode back in season 7. And it was just really great that we got to meet Clark and everything during our journey on the show. And I just, if there had to be someone to replace that kind of fun-loving thing that Glenn was, Jellybean was to the show. Jellybean's mom, she played an amazing, filler in for that spot. That was definitely a whole miss. The comedic relief that was missed these last 2 seasons. Paula was great.
Yeah, Glenn was a wonderful guy. Very, very sweet guy. Nice guy to talk to. So, Nixon and Hudson are questioning the team's loyalty. Sons of bitches. And they're questioning Ishwood, who Dembe stole the phone from to warn Red. And then they go and they check the video, and guess what? Dembe is busted, which means Red's coming back. Did you figure that as soon as he got busted and they're getting in the van, and wrestler's like, I'm going with you. You ain't going by yourself, because I guess he's a lawyer now.
Yeah.
Did you think that was pretty much going to happen?
He got that phone call, and he was like, yeah, they arrested Red. I was like, Red's on the case. Cue sideswipe truck crash. Seen those about 1,000 times on the show over 10 years.
Well, I thought this was an excellent scene. Red arrives to extract him. Dembe is shot. He's actually trying to calm everything down. It's very, very clear that he will not be going with them. He even tells Red, look, what happens, happens. You're going to spend years in jail? Then I'm going to spend years in jail. So be it. But then Hudson gets a little trigger happy and shoots Dembe. And then I would guess, okay, everybody listening, you tell me if I'm right. This is probably everyone's favorite moment of the show, because Hudson gets shot by Red square in the frickin' head. Beautiful moment. Yes.
Amazing. Especially the angle that it was at, because you got Red staring him down. Right. Yeah. And then the bullet, and then the whiplash and the slow motion over the music. Was that Pearl Jam that was playing in the background? Like, so good.
I didn't hear the music. All I heard was and then watched him go right in the head. And then he shoots Wrestler in the chest, which I thought that's painfully obvious. He did not want to kill Wrestler. But which was
in the moment though, I was still kind of doing the Dembe in slow motion, because he got hit in the neck, and it seemed like it was so fast as you watched it, yet it was in such slow motion. It was just like what is happening right now? Like, Wrestler's down, Dembe's down, Hudson's down, Red's getting the hell out of there. And it's like, and whoa, like, that was amazing to end the hour.
It was, but I will say it kind of illustrates what I was saying earlier, that Red does shoot innocent people, because as much as you might not like Hudson, he wasn't wrong about anything. He really wasn't. He was right on. And he didn't mean to shoot Dembe. He just panicked, and Red knows that. And he still shot him cold in the head because he's a criminal.
Yeah. Well, he's also fiery. He also protects the ones that he loves.
Sure. It's that red hair. Nah.
It is. Uh-huh.
Sorry. Well, I love the ending. I do think, though, this is my honest opinion, I think it would have made, in a series finale, to me, you got to have some real stakes, right? Real motivator. I think Dembe should have been, like, here's where the show diverged.
Dembe or Wrestler. Yeah.
This is where the show diverged from where I probably would have gone, if I was Monday morning quarterbacking, right? I probably would have taken either Dembe or Wrestler out.
I said it is Thursday Night Football, so quarterback away.
Sure. I would have taken Dembe or Wrestler out, or even Cooper, honestly. Charlene, about time you earned your keep, you're never at home. But is she still alive? You take somebody. I think so. I think she's at the neighbor's house.
Did she take the photos at the dance? That's what we want to know.
Oh my God. The photos, look, the photos were red. They were red. I know it was shot and it looked like it wasn't red. It was totally red taking those pictures. That's why Cooper didn't panic. I think it was cut and edited weird, but that's what it was. I don't know why. I think they probably had to take a few scenes out because of time, whatever. But anyway, now I forgot what the hell I was saying. Damn it. I had to mention the photos.
People needed to die. Stakes.
Yeah, someone needed to die for stakes. And then that's where I would have taken the show a different place, is because then you have the opportunity for some kind of payback, and you get, like, everybody's involved. Everybody's invested in this whole thing. It isn't just this, he lays around and goes to Spain and kind of relaxes. And I think it would have been, in a way, I love Diego, but it would have been cool to take Wrestler out because he's the goody two-shoes and the last one that should die, because he's tried to do as much good as he could. And I love Dembe that he lived. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, in a series finale, a show like this, they've killed a lot of characters over the years. I think somebody should have gone.
Somebody should have gone.
Take out Sia, because then it's in the name. We'll see ya. Sorry.
That's harsh.
That's way too easy.
This was one of those things after 10 years, peeps, that we would have taken out of the show in the editing, but now we can't because Aaron already mentioned it.
Way too simple. Way too simple. I apologize. Shame
take out
on
Herbie.
me.
Take out Herbie. Then he's a quitter. Go home, be with your kid, fine, whatever.
Why does he introduce his wife, my wife Holly? If I was on the team, look, man, I know your wife's name. All right, you say it every time you speak. Holly. Just call her Holly, or just call her my wife. You don't have to do like this full introduction. I'm surprised he doesn't drop her social security number.
Yeah.
This is my Holly. This is my wife Holly. 362-42123.
Holly, goth band emo eyeline wearing the third.
She does sound like a lot of fun, to be honest. Yeah. The next episode, Red gets Dembe to a nursing home. Their blood is compatible. I assume they probably checked it in some way, shape, or form before, so they know that. Or Red just didn't care. He just wanted blood in him. Didn't matter to him.
Or Red's just like a universal donor.
Yeah, could have been. Sure. Red saves Dembe, but he should not have donated because now he's very, very tired. And when the nurse talks to the feds later, she says that she was told that Red said, "That, my dear, will have to wait. I need to be traveling." And now Nixon's on the case, and he wants blood, insinuating that he will put the man down. He's all on board with murdering Red, which is what makes Herbie quit.
Yeah. I mean, in a role like this where Hudson gets the itchy trigger finger, even though he was doing the right thing, he ends up shooting. But now you got an actual FBI agent saying he's going to commit cold-blooded murder for this situation. Like that's just, what is wrong with people that they would get to that point? Like, Red didn't do anything to you. Like, if anything, like Hudson's wife should come out of the closet or something, or run around and shoot him. Like the FBI agent has no reason to say, I'm going to put Red down in this place. That was a weird character move for me, for that agent, other than just to get to the fisticuffs between him and Cooper.
Right. Well, how do you feel about Herbie quitting on that? I actually kind of respected Herbie for saying, you know what, I don't want any part of this.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the point now where we talked about through the pandemic and everything, we're in the age of quiet quitting, and I want to get paid for the things that I'm doing.
Quitting.
And Herbie's right. Like, the workplace has become toxic. I don't need to deal with this. I got a kid and a wife at home. I like Red. Red's done good stuff to me. He's taking care of my family. I got no ill will against him. Totally fine. Sia said, "See ya." Like,
I'm not the one that makes that joke.
Yeah, everybody makes that joke. I mean, she's disappointed that she never got to play foosball with him, but it is what it is.
I was really hoping for kind of like a little fling or something, because they had a little tension, little chemistry.
He's married with a kid.
Yeah, but she's never there. I mean, let's be honest. She doesn't want to be home.
Right. They had to get the sitter. That's why he had to make it home in time.
So Red's in bad shape. And then we get this nice montage of Red on a stroll, rolling through a market in Spain. And that's where Sia kind of figures it out because of her time that she spent with Red before with the bull horns, that this is kind of a wild swing that he would be there, don't you think? But I mean, I get how they got there.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about it, I pulled from, if you remember, the Sicilian Era of Color earlier this year. The conversation basically was, maybe, so why are you toting around this enormous set of, well, I guess they're horns? And Red says they're bull horns, not just any bull, but they belong to the legendary Islero, the Mura bull that killed Menelote. And she said, I'm not familiar. It's like, the Matador, Menelote? Perhaps the most mesmerizing bullfighter of all time? Sober in approach, if not in life, the man was long-faced, heavy-hearted, hero for the ages. Those three things clearly describe Red at the end of his life.
What? Hero for the ages?
To Dembe, he was.
Okay.
To Cooper and Wrestler, they were. To many of the fans, he was.
I know. Okay.
What draws a person?
I guess we're cool with murder if they're fun. They give great story time. We're cool with murder. It's all good.
Hey, it's what we signed up for 10 years.
Okay.
What draws a person to such an incredibly dangerous pursuit? Sia says. Red says, you're no stranger to dangerous living, Agent Malik. Perhaps, but I'm not going to dance around with a 500-kilo beast poking it with sharp sticks. And Red says, Menelote was a stoic guardian of tradition in the bull ring. His father had been a matador. His uncle, also a month before he died, Menelote told in an interview that they were asking for more than he could give. Always more and more. He longed to retire from the ring, but he always returned. He went again to do the thing that he did better than anyone, and in the instant that he killed his Laro, balancing on his toes, arching up over the hot, steaming breath of ferocious death, the surgically precise plunge of his blade to the hilt, in that instant, his Laro thrust his massive head just centimeters to the right in his leg and gored him. The closer a matador fights to the horns, the closer he is to his grave. I suppose in the end, Menelote found it easier to risk his life than to live life without risk. And so then Sia says, so he died following his father's ambitions. And Red said, some people do that. So here we have a very clear description of the relationship of Katarina to Dom, and the fact that he followed in his father's footsteps. You know, she became this master criminal because that's what Dom trained her to be. And then on the top of that, he's also talking about how, you know, because he became N13 and because he did all of these things, like he had to keep rising up and keep rising up and keep fighting and keep going and keep doing, because nobody would ever let him rest. And all he just wanted to do was rest.
Yeah, I get that.
So
I get the implication. I just didn't work.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm not judging anybody else. If you love the ending, that's awesome.
So why don't we talk about that? How would you have done it differently in that moment? If you take the pieces you were given, like, how would you construct it differently so it would make more sense for you to be satisfied?
Well, hang on. Let me finish what happened. So
okay.
Bernardo Lobo owns a ranch. Wrestler arrived. Red calls Cooper and Agnes, and there's a nice call with Agnes too. Wrestler Mrs. Cooper or Mrs. Red, and apparently
he doesn't miss Red. He doesn't do his friggin' job because he forgot to look the whole case. Yeah, look at the whole place
behind the house. But they didn't. What was the reference? A humorless fellow with handsome hair.
Yes.
I like that. Best hair on the show. Wrestler's heading to the market, which does lead him to Red because he finds the young lady that worked at the vegetable station that was going to deliver to their place. That's what led him there. And then eventually that woman says he went out this way, and he gets a chopper, and they find Red, and he's already been stomped by this bull into a hole, and he puts his hat on him, which was actually a very nice touch. I did like Wrestler putting the hat back on and saying, I got him. So your question is, how would I have done it different?
Yeah.
I mean, there's several things I would have done different. I think there should have been more of a pursuit. I know Wrestler begrudgingly respects Red to some degree, but I feel like we deserved to see Wrestler chase him down, especially Eisendrath kind of hinted at that, but you know, his hint can be taken wryly, you know.
All he said was that Wrestler was the last man standing.
Yeah, last man standing. He'll be there. I get it.
So it goes back to the showrunners have always, even though you might think they're telling the truth, the showrunners have always told the truth. I'm saying it for the fans, not for you.
I would have had more of either a standoff where one of them have to make a really tough decision, and Red makes them make the decision. I would have really preferred Wrestler catches up to Red. Red has a gun that's unloaded on him just because of this moment, and makes Wrestler put him down. And then Wrestler realizes that he never would have shot him. That, you know, like Red pulls on him and basically says, I'm not going in, I'm not going to prison, da 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 da. And Wrestler's like, don't make me shoot you, because, you know, agents are trained to shoot center mass. And then he puts him down and then realizes that the gun was empty and he would never have shot him. I would have liked that. I think that would have been more. Don't get me wrong. I don't believe endings should be what necessarily the fans demand or what the fans want, but I think you also have to respect the story you've told, and the bull just doesn't fit the story that we've been told. You can jam the horns in there in the middle. It doesn't change the fact that it doesn't really fit. That would have been a fitting ending, and it would have shown, you know, his own growth and how he'd come to respect Wrestler as well. That's what I would do. That's
fair. I think that's a good way to wrap it up.
What about you?
My stance would be, when I first watched the ending, I thought that the bull was actually in his imagination. Like, I really felt like it was in his mind, because it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, didn't know what was going on, didn't know where this bull had shown up from, and it found like he just kind of like turned around, and as he was staring at them in that minute moment, it was just a matter of looking at him like, I'm staring down death. Like, this bull isn't really here. It's like a figment of imagination or a feeling or representation. He's like, this is my Islero Manilote moment, right? So I thought it was in his mind. And then when the bull charges and cuts away, I'm like, oh, great. This is where Red dies. Yep, he's going to fall over. He's going to be laying there on the ground. Wrestler's going to find him. I never for once thought that the bull was actually real and trampled him the first time I saw it. And so when he's trampled, I'm like, oh my God, did that really just happen? The fans are going to riot. Oh my gosh, are they going to riot? I would have rather it be that. It would be the manifestation, the memory, the thought behind the representation of death, and that he just would have passed out from overexertion. He put the water bottle down earlier, and then when he's passed out on the ground, inches from life, because that's why he's having this manifestation, because he's this close to death, that when Wrestler arrives on the scene, he kind of rolls Red over from being flopped down, and Red turns to Wrestler and says, well, Wrestler, it looks like you finally caught your, and then Red dies. And then Wrestler puts the hat over his face, and then the camera would pan up like Red's soul leaving the body. And it would have been about the exact same things that they shot, and it would have been great, and it wouldn't have been a trample all over Red and a mangled body that was just like, oh my gosh.
Everybody's got, their perfect ending in mind. I bet you I know what no one had. Bull stomping the shit out of Raymond Reddington into a hole in the middle of Spain. Bet nobody had that one. Great song though. I like that. I like Gypsy Kings. I mean, they a great cover of. It was a cover of My Way, right? Wasn't it a cover?
Actually, it was.
I don't know if it's a cover, but I mean,
it's actually it was My Way. It is My Way, but it's actually Mi Manera is the name of the song, and it is a interpretative view cover of
My Way.
I Did It My Way. Yeah.
Just a great song. I don't know. It's so frustrating. I think every fan that was frustrated. What is Emily Cheesy says? Aaron, you did say you wanted a twist or a surprise. The Bull was definitely that. You know what? Fair point. Touche.
It was definitely that.
Yeah, you got me. Damn it, you got me. But on the same token, a better one would have been good. I'm giving you that my ending might have been a little bit more predictable, but I think it would have been more appropriate to the show. There are ways you could have tweaked that to make it work a little better. I really do believe that, but that's just my opinion. It's, we're going to be playing with this one for a while. Let's
go ahead and take a poll from the audience. I put a poll up on Twitter. Aaron put a poll up in the Facebook group. The Twitter people, we said, so what did you think of the Blacklist series finale? The choices were amazing, good, meh, and bullspit. And let's see, 13% said amazing, 15% said good, 16% said meh. So it's pretty much split down the middle, and 56% said bullspit.
Wow. I didn't know it would be that strong, but I also kind of knew exactly that it would be that strong. Pretty much the same in the group. It looks like it's about 65% that was bullshit, and then about 25% or so loved it, and the rest said meh, it was okay.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Yeah.
Fans have spoken, man. They've been waiting for this for 10 years, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes it's like so close. And there's a lot of people too that were kind of talking like, what the Blacklist really ended. The Blacklist ended in season 8, and then this was like Blacklist.
Red's fading away.
Red's the Blacklist hashtag or semicolon Red's vengeance.
Maybe
or something. It was a different show. Let's be honest.
A different show. Look, the Liz storyline, who was Red, that all ended in season 8. Anybody that wants to say otherwise, I don't know what you were watching. They were very clear that they answered that question. I know there's still some people that are going to debate it, and that's fine. Keep debating it. There's no debate to me. But they did not ever come back to it. They never came back to it. It was a constant thing that was thrown around in every other episode all through the show, through all 8 seasons, and then it just stopped. Why is that? Because they answered it. And all they've done since then is cement it here and there. So I just want people to stop having the fight about it. So I would say, season 8 was the end of like you said, the Blacklist, end of Red and Liz's storyline. And then the last 2 seasons, it's just where does Red go from here? It's the epilogue, if you will.
Correct. I like people too that were talking in the chat here, like, why didn't he just shoot the bull? And if you remember, as Rebecca Trumbo clearly said, the gun was on the bedstand. He did not have his gun with him when he went out for his walk.
Sure. But if you don't, what happens is when when they're writing something, they can say he takes the gun, and then wrestler shoots him. Bam. And the bull walks away like, oh my God, that was scary. These two idiots are just shooting at each other. And the bull isn't guilty of his own murder because the bull straight up murdered Red, and that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
Now we've got to put the bull down or something. I don't know what the rules are in Spain.
He's also standing over in the corner because he knows that he can't do anything about, wrestler at this point because wrestler's hair is going to protect him the entire time.
Can we mention Cooper? Cooper
Yes.
finally lost his temper and was about ready to beat the absolute piss out of Nixon. That might be my favorite scene from the episode.
Yeah. And then Nixon was like, "Come on, Grandpa."
Yeah. Oh man. Took a couple pop shots at him. Mm-hmm.
I was like, "We hung out with Harry, man. Harry's as cool as a cucumber.
Dude. He's a
big dude." I was like, "Man, if he throws down, that's going to be one punch that's going to land."
Could have been
So
great.
Good. So
Could
good.
have been great. Anything else we haven't really talked about? Dembe is moving on from this life of guns. He wants to get away from that, and he's no longer going to be an FBI agent, so he doesn't have much of a choice. But so he's moving on from that. We talked about that. Wrestler does deck Hudson. Doesn't really matter because he gets shot in the head later. So, he didn't really get to avenge his
so really,
friend,
if you're
he did get to deck him.
If you're in Chicagoland area that missed like the entire first hour, basically, that's really all you missed was wrestler punching Hudson. Hudson said,
Yeah.
"Don't worry about it. His friend just died. It's all good." They basically figure out that Dembe was the one that made the phone call. They go arrest Dembe. Red stays one step ahead of him, gets with Wicha, and flies off to Spain. And then the shootout happens as they try to save Dembe, and Dembe gets shot. Wrestler gets shot. Red shoots Hudson. Red gets Dembe to the nursing home to get saved. That's the hour that you missed. But you saw the hour that mattered.
You did. What'd you think of the conversation with Agnes? Because that's the final conversation Red ever has with Agnes. That was very sweet. I gotta say, a lot of people pick on Agnes. She's not a very good actress. Whenever it's kids, I don't think that's fair because they're young. I mean, yeah, you can say that, but they're also young. So I don't like to pick on a little kid.
I feel this season, as the actress who's playing Agnes grew into the relationship with James Spader, with Red, and in those scenes, those scenes were very natural, very like fun and just joyful moments, right? Like the Red and Agnes cooking show. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Doing the homework, having ice cream. It's all of that. It felt nice this season, where it felt more forced maybe at the end of season 8 or earlier on during like the recitals and stuff. I think it was great. And then of course to get the like, oh, Pinky, you're such a mom. And I was like, yes.
Well, somebody on Facebook said, I didn't know this, Liz's last phone call was also to Agnes.
It was.
Poor Agnes. She is going to do some damage when she gets older. She'll be a messed up kid.
Agnes's therapy bills are going to be very expensive.
True. Absolutely true. Are you glad that Hudson got shot in the head? Now, keep in mind.
Yeah.
Are you? Like, he deserved to get shot in the face?
He didn't have to grab Nixon's gun to begin with. He could have just stepped out. He's not a trained FBI agent. He's a congressman. So he brought it on himself. You pull a gun, be prepared to get shot.
Okay. The speech was like, Red has always been comfortable with death, how we live. I've always admired him for his ability to go quietly into that good night. A man surrounded by death in so many ways celebrates life. Again, I kind of like that it was him and how he sees his friend, but I still think it's ridiculous. So my overall issues, I think we talked about everything. The bull, the no number 2, Wicha disappears. Oh, a lot of loose threads. Don't you feel like there's a lot of loose threads here?
In the finale specifically? Or just overall? In the show overall?
The show overall at the end in the show.
I mean, yeah, I feel like...
I assume Cooper retires, but we don't really get confirmation. What happens to the post? What happened to Wrestler? Sia kind of just goes. Herbie quits, but, we get Herbie and Dembe for sure.
There's a level of like... What's the thing I'm looking for?
Too much clarity?
I can make assumptions about what the natural step would be next.
I think it's pretty obvious, but...
And do I need to see that as a TV viewer? Do I need to have the last 5 minutes of, Dembe's out there running an AA meeting at a church, and Sia's back at MI6 doing whatever she's doing in England, and Herbie's playing with his kid bouncing on the knee, and then Cooper's sitting there hanging out with Agnes, and Dembe just walks down the road, making some kind of pontification. Like, you could do that shot in sequence, but I feel like that's been done on every TV show, and it would have felt like too network TV at that point. Like, Blacklist has always been, James has always talked about it, right? Like, it's a cable show that's on network TV. So let's not do the network TV ending. And we didn't do the network TV ending.
I would say the last 2 years have been more network TV, man. Sorry.
It has been more network TV leaning, yes.
Yeah. Less serialized.
Yeah.
In that respect. More episode to episode.
I think Wrestler continues on with his FBI career. I think Cooper retires and hangs out with Agnes and Charlene. I think Dembe goes and finds his own new path, a lot lighter, a lot healthier, a lot cleaner, living his religion. And then Sia goes back to England, and Herbie just hangs out with his kid. I mean, it's you don't need to see it on screen. It's interpretive enough. What I do think was a missing thread, though, was the fact that Wrestler and Red never really got closure with each other, both for I chased you and worked with you for 15 years. And
exactly
your daughter and I were a thing, and
we bumped uglies,
and you gave me your blood because you thought I was a pretty decent dude. And why wasn't I in the picture to begin with instead of Tom? That's really the only question I wanted to know. Yeah, the Wrestler Red relationship I felt like didn't get the closure it needed.
It didn't. Really, because it was there from the inception, and it should have been addressed in some way where they should have had, even if it was on the phone, there should have been some kind of situation, or maybe, the woman had Red's phone or something, so she called him, and then Wrestler talked to him on the phone while he was wandering around getting ready to do suicide by bull. That would have been something, but it deserved to have closure in some way. Red doesn't even get any final lines, just eyeballing, eye humping the bull. That's it. That's the finality of it. And I'm not trying to be too harsh. It's just, it's kind of upsetting. As a fan of the show for 10 years, I felt like this is something that has been built up for so long. The story deserved to get that finality. You want to go out and run into a bull or whatever and go out that way, fine. But there are some threads that deserve to get paid off. And the Wrestler storyline definitely did. And it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, you still get trampled by the bull. Just let him have like one final conversation with Wrestler at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Music in the episode. First hour, we heard Pendulum from Pearl Jam. Towards the end of hour one, as Dembe was being transported. And then we heard Stay Alive by Jose Gonzalez, who's been featured on the music list many times throughout the course of the 10 years. We heard a song while Red was sleeping in Spain. I didn't catch who that artist was, so if anybody knows, obviously let us know. Then we heard Familiar by Niels Fromm when Reddington is walking to the market. When Red takes his final walk and Dembe is talking to Cooper, great rendition of Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Oh, that was good.
By Reagan.
That was haunting.
So good. And then Red walking around, heading towards the bull by the tree. The song is actually called Tree by TMBM. And then obviously at the very end, we mentioned it, Mia Marina, I Did It My Way, cover by the Gypsy Kings. So the entire music budget was saved up, as we thought, for the finale.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's been a wild run. I mean, it's been a wild run. By the way, we're not going. We still do another podcast every week, The Hollywood Outsider. So I don't want to mention that. So if you haven't subscribed, be sure you do that before you move on from this podcast, because we will be still talking there. And we actually have one more episode we're doing for Blacklist Exposed, where we are going to kind of do a series recap like Troy already talked about. But I wanted to make sure everybody realizes that. And
that's right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's right. Absolutely. We want to put a bow on the whole thing. But people have emotions. We need to let the emotions settle from the evening, and then we can look at it objectively in a few weeks.
Oh, Emily Cheesy? One of those is right. I've heard it both ways. So glad y'all do another podcast. Love listening to both of you. Oh, thank you. It's called The Hollywood Outsider. And also we want to mention before we wrap anything up or anything, the podcast awards, it's our last run at this. It's our last chance to win. We've won a different podcast award, but this is one that's decided by you guys. So it honestly, it means a lot to us. We would love to win that one just because you guys mean a lot to us.
Yeah, for sure.
If you go to podcastawards.com, many emails as you got, you can nominate us with any email you have. And you can also be a voter. I think there's a box you can check to also be a voter, a final voter or something like that. Correct. But you can nominate us in TV and film, Blacklist, the Blacklist Exposed for TV and film, and the Hollywood Outsider for entertainment, and then People's Choice, the Blacklist Exposed.
That's right.
Well, that would be great.
And especially want to say a big thank you to those of you over the years who have just been nothing but supportive financially to keep the show on, so that we can get to this point where we can actually do video stuff, where we can have live YouTube and hang out with all of you guys, the fan. So just want to say a super huge shout out to Task Force members Judy, Sharon C, Richard, Rory, Catherine, Jens, Cheryl, James, Justin, Cindy, Ryan, Johnny, Lacey, Ann, Emily, Jacob, Sharon B. There are a few more that came in at the last minute. Everybody got shirts and mugs. If I have not contacted you, if I have not reached out to you, please respond to my email so I can get your shirt size or I can get what mug you want. We want to make sure we get those out to you. But yeah, it's been a great 10 years hanging out, and we don't want to go anywhere just yet because there's still plenty of people watching. Still West Coast is out there. So this is the point in the show where we usually play an ad. So Aaron already did the ad by saying, come over to the Hollywood Outsider. And specifically though, if you are on Patreon, right, August will charge. So you get that final episode, and then August will be the last month you'll get charged from the Blacklist. So we would love it if you would just transfer your patronage over to the Hollywood Outsider Patreon, because obviously we still got to keep the lights on over there as well. So if you loved what we've been doing over the past 10 years, transfer your patrons over there. If you haven't been a patron before, head on over to patreon.com/the Hollywood Outsider and subscribe over there. We do it every single week. We do movie reviews, interviews. You actually get bonus podcasts with Bad Movie Night that we do once a month. We do a Ask Me Anything kind of thing for patrons once a month. So definitely make sure you check Aaron and I out over there. We might do a TV thing in the future. Who knows? John might write something in the future and might give us a call.
We might.
That'd be nice.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, just keep the love coming. The community is going to be around. Lots of people still watching the show are behind. They're watching on Netflix for the first time in many countries. So the Facebook group will still be around. The website will still be around. The podcast can be re-binged as you re-binge and go,
I'm going to listen to all of them.
Yeah. Did I really miss this Katarina thing, this Red Arena thing from the beginning? Like, let me go back and watch all of the Blacklist again over on Netflix. Season 10 should drop sometime around September-ish is usually when Netflix gets it in the States from the previous season. So if not, last couple episodes will be on Peacock. You can watch, I think, from Sicilian Era of Color forward is going to be on Peacock for a little bit if you wanted to go back and rewatch season 10, and especially hour 1 if you live in the Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison area.
I got to mention John Maloney made a comment. Aaron is ecstatic. Liz's last fling was not with Tom. You are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Because Tom's dead, so she couldn't hump him anymore. So good.
You know what? It wasn't with wrestler either, because it was with a mannequin.
What? Oh, Jesus. You're like 12. I swear you're 12.
It was the weirdest kiss in the history of television.
Oh. Hey, there's some people that are still asking in the comments, so who was red? It was Katarina. That's the answer. Yeah. Literally, that's it. That's it. Katarina. Yes, Katarina. That's the answer.
That is the answer.
That is the answer. Swear. We're not making that up. We're not just trying to be difficult.
Yeah, so at this point in time, we always do special agent intel on the normal podcast.
We've been doing it the whole time.
Yeah. But if you got specific questions, because obviously you guys have been chatting along, which is awesome. You've all been talking to each other while we've been talking over here. But if you got questions or
pop them in the comments, we'll see what we got right now.
We're gonna throw your stuff right up on the screen and feature you. This is your chance to be in the spotlight. I love everybody that's saying that Agnes is going to go to therapy for years.
I mean, they're right. She is messed up, man. She's screwed up. There's no way. It's going to be sad. I hope she can get her memories wiped.
I'm sure there are people that can make that happen. There you go. Red is Katarina confirmed.
Exactly. I mean, if it says it on Facebook, it's got to be true. Oh, good question. Oh, wait, hang on. Red was Katarina. Katarina, that red shot was Katarina. No, that was
Let's go back to that one.
Tatiana.
Red was Katarina. Katarina, that red shot. Red shot Tatiana Petrova.
Right, who was pretending to be Katarina.
Who was pretending to be Katarina, who was set up to be Katarina by Dom and Ilya in the Belgrade episode. So if you missed that, go back and watch Nachalo 821. You'll get that whole story.
So Emily, favorite episode of the whole series. I can't say your name correctly. I'm not going to butcher it twice. Favorite episode of the whole series.
Oof. I mean, I feel like for Aaron, it would be like season 5, episode 7, when Tom died.
What? Yeah, that's up there. That's.
I mean, it's hard. Like Kate May or the Nachalo Cognac.
Mine's Stewmaker, actually. Stewmaker would be my favorite episode.
Well, I think the question is like favorite episode or favorite Blacklister, Emily? Because I think that's different, right? Because
it's the same thing to me, and that's my favorite episode.
It's the same for you.
Yeah. I mean, I love Cape May. I love Nachalo and both 821 and 822. I love both of those. I actually think they do a really, really good job. And I love the whole, which season was it where Kaplan was just going badass? Was that 4?
4. Yeah.
The whole back half of 4 was fantastic. I just love Kaplan coming after Red. That's probably my favorite arc of the whole series.
Minus Gale. Sorry, Chuck.
Yeah. No, I actually liked him. I mean, I did like him. Go back and listen. I liked him. Yeah.
Did we find out what Dembe and Liz's notes said? The letter from season 9 that was retconned in to make it look like Dembe gave Liz the letter.
I think it was just confessions of who Red was.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, once I'm dead, FYI, I was your mom.
I was your mom. Yeah.
That's why you can't read it ahead of time. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to kill me. But because she said, I can't kill you.
What was in the box Red gave Dembe?
That's the one.
We never know.
That's the one. What was in the box?
I assume Marcellus Wallace's soul.
Yeah, we're gonna have to call some people on that one.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if we never really got an answer, right?
Never did get an answer. No.
Oh, you know what? We didn't mention Panabaker is not in the final 2 episodes at all.
At all.
Makes no sense.
Well, she's preparing for her presidential run. That's she didn't want to be involved with this scandal.
Sure. Sure.
Because if the show were to come around again, it would be Panabaker as president, Cooper as vice president. I think that'd be a great team.
Did the Mary Louise Parker character die off screen? Was that
the answer
Naomi,
is
right?
Yes, John. That is an absolute correct.
Yes, she did. Yep. Right.
Jennifer takes Red when they're hanging out to Naomi's grave because she got killed in a move from point A to point B as people caught up to her.
Bearskin says, whisper. I assume you want to know like what Red said to Kirk. I am Katarina. I think that's been the speculation for many, many years, and I'm pretty sure that's what it
said. I like chocolate and strawberry ice cream.
Yeah. If you go back and watch that whole, there's 0 other options that would have made Kirk let Red go in that moment.
The needle was in Red's neck.
Yep.
At that moment. Plus, he was under truth serum, and he asked the question, are you her father? And he says, no, Elizabeth is my daughter. So that is, the whisper doesn't matter at that point. The fact that he lived, the fact that he lived, you go, it was something that only Constantine was going to know.
Right.
And the only person that really hung out with Constantine was his wife.
Oh, here's good. We all rewatch this series in the future sometime now that it's all over. I'll tell you what, I've already had this discussion and this thought. This is the honest to God's truth. I have a thing, if I watch Lord of the Rings, even the extended cut, right? I love Lord of the Rings, read the books as kids, blah, 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 blah. I know how it ends. I know where Frodo goes. I don't care. To me, the perfect ending for those films is when you bow to no one and everybody bows. To me, that is the best ending that I could hope for that series. So when I've rewatched it, I always stop at that moment every time, every single time. And I will forever, if I rewatch Blacklist, which I will at some point, absolutely, I will stop it at 822. I think 822 is a perfect ending. It's much more Shakespearean, and it's probably closer to the original plan.
Do you think they'll start a new show with the same characters?
No chance.
Oh, this one's good from Ariadne. Sorry if I said that wrong. But the box is a collection of Red's favorite comic books. That's what he gave to Dembe. Actually, nice. It was a new game that they were going to play that they were going to patent to replace bananagrams. That's what was in the box.
You're a nerd. Which was Matt XYZ? Clever. What was your favorite not Blacklister villain? Oh, Eddie Gathegi.
He was a Blacklister. He was 30. Was he 30? Was Marvin 30?
Okay.
I don't know. Can you stand up and turn around so I can read the back of your shirt and then I would know which one Eddie is?
Yeah, I've got them all listed on this shirt. Anthony Pepe actually made these shirts. Shout out to Pepe. He was a Blacklister?
I think mine was a Floriana Campo in the second episode because the freelancer was the Blacklister, but she was the one that got killed because she was in charge of the drug sex trafficking ring when she was laying on the hotel floor in the second episode. I thought that was pretty good.
I didn't know Solomon was actually a Blacklister. I'm sure I did at one point, but I just didn't remember because he went on to Redemption, so part of me just assumed he wasn't one, I guess.
I might have a picture.
That's it. Great. Well, Liz Keane would be on there, but she made the Blacklist. Okay. Well, Red
Solomon.
Reddington.
I was close. Solomon was 32.
So he was okay. All right. Well, what are you gonna do? I'd have to think on it then. I'd actually have to go back, just because everybody ended up being a Blacklister at some point, so it's kind of hard to figure out who would be a villain that didn't make it on the Blacklist. Alan Alda's character, did he ever get on was he ever a Blacklister?
Which one? Sorry, say again.
Alan Alda's character?
Yeah.
He was officially one,
Fitch
right?
was on there.
Yeah. I got to look it up. I don't know. I mean, I could take my shirt off and look on the back, but my God, that would be really uncomfortable for everyone else listening.
Oh,
don't you think that suicide theme was pertinent?
Diane Fowler. When he shot Diane Fowler
there you go.
in his first season. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bearskin. He keeps asking about suicide. Don't you think that suicide theme was pertinent?
Tell me more.
I don't know if I'd call it about a theme. But if you remember Katerina and Cape May, but she found another purpose, obviously.
I don't think Red was looking to commit suicide in the end, though. He wasn't looking to purposely die in front of the bull.
He wasn't afraid of death.
Yeah, he's not. He's like, haha, this is my moment. I am going to be Menelote because I'm going to die anyway from whatever illness I have. So let's go ahead and see if I can dodge this sucker. And he obviously couldn't because he didn't have the same Kaiser Soze movement that he had out of Cooper's Kitchen.
Yeah, although he was sashaying quite lovely there and he was bouncing down the trail. If you had a chance to change the ending of the last episode, how would it go? I already said that. It would definitely be, the whole wrestler Red showdown and Red would have an empty gun on purpose. It would be intentional though.
This is my favorite. Someone on Reddit just started a thread titled, "What the?" Someone didn't like the ending apparently. The thing that's going to happen in Reddit is going to explode in the Blacklist Reddit thread for multiple reasons.
I mean, isn't Reddit always like that? It's kind of like Twitter, right?
Twitter's for the most part, as the finale was going on, and even after the fact in the West Coast, Twitter's been very forgiving up until the last minute, and they were like, "Really? That happened?" But I think that's how we all were. We were all kind of like, "No way, that's where it's going to go." Okay,
right.
Okay.
What do you think? Time to wrap it up?
I think we're coming to that point, right? Podcast can't be any longer than the TV show itself.
Too late.
It's kind of one of the general rules, but we're right at that mark at an hour 20. We can see the fans are ready to put this one to bed. I definitely have to say thank you to everybody for 10 years of amazing. The show is amazing. Thanks to Harry and to Diego and to Aram and or Amir and Mojan and Megan and James and John and the writers, and like so many great people worked on this show. Pepe and Court Hessler and Dave Porter and just so many, John Bissell, like just, oh my gosh, so many cool people that we've got to hang out with in the last decade.
Yeah, I want a special thank you to Pepe. Pepe's a wonderful guy. We keep mentioning him. He's just a great guy. And the entire cast we've met and multiple times had a lot of conversations with. I had a really long, great conversation with Harry Lennox once, which I just saw a reference that that time with us in C2E2 is his favorite memory of the Blacklist. That's really cool.
That's cool.
Not just us. I mean, obviously it was a whole thing, but that time.
We recently connected with Daniel Knopf, one of the best interviews we've ever done. Oh my gosh.
That was kind of like got the whole ball rolling for this podcast, to be honest, because we, you didn't actually, I think I asked because you didn't want to ask that question at the time. That's back when you were shy before you let your ego go crazy. And I asked him about the mother theory because you were so convinced, and I thought it was bonkers. I kind of go back and listen to that, and I kind of shriek at myself for the way I handled it. But hey, time does that to people.
It's good. He rolled with it. It was a good time. The thing I loved about the Daniel Knopf interview the most.
The Hollywood Outsider, somebody keeps asking. So the Hollywood Outsider is the other podcast we do. The Hollywood Outsider. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll put it up. When he talked about how his job cannot write a bad episode because he's the person that is between a person that comes home from work, grabs a TV dinner, sits down, wants to be entertained for 40 minutes to an hour. And if he does a bad job, he literally smoked 15 million hours of human life. That quote has stuck with me ever since he said it. And that's kind of how I kind of view life now. It's like, I can't do a bad, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to give 110% every time, because if you half-ass it, like, someone else is affected. We have to think about other people when we do things in life and how our actions affect other people, how our words affect other people, especially.
Speaking of words, you said I thought you were saying you smoked a bunch of guys. I don't know what that meant, and I just thought it was very uncomfortable.
Well, we know Knopf was smoking on the podcast. That's for sure, because we heard him light up a few times.
I loved him and the entire cast. Amir was always fun to hang out with. We were invited to set. Megan Boone, a special thanks to her. She was such a wonderful person. Whatever you thought of her performance, a lot of people are up and down on her performance, but she was very sweet to us. That's all I can say. And took us backstage to go meet Andrew McCarthy, which is very, very sweet. But when we met her on set, she remembered us from our interview. She actually approached us to bring her on to interview, which never happens that way. It just doesn't.
Never happens that way.
It's always you chasing the interview, and eventually, maybe you'll get to talk to somebody. But she's always been nothing but kind to me. So I think the world of her, and she was very, very, very polite and helpful and wonderful and kind and sweet to us. John Bokenkamp, I can't say enough about that guy. He's not the star, I guess, of the show. Everybody talks about Spader, but the one thing that people just don't seem to realize, like, he put a lot of those words in Spader's mouth. Like, I mean, yeah, he's a great actor, but you got to have great words to make it pop. And you can just tell the best work that Spader did, I think, has been some of the words that John has put in his mouth. And you can tell the difference from when he left. I'm sorry, you just can. I mean, he was a very talented writer. He knew the direction of the show. He knew the story, he had it down, and he really mapped it out. And I have rewatched it like in the past up until 8/22, and that story holds. Sorry it took me so long to get to it. Really feel bad for it, but I can admit when I'm wrong, and I think I've proven that, by God. Troy, he cannot still to this day.
To this day.
So a really big thanks to him, because honestly, he made a lot of things that happened for us happen. Without him, they wouldn't have happened. And I hope, I doubt he's listening to this because he's working on another show for Apple currently, which I'm sure will be fantastic. Sounds awesome. But he will forever be appreciated by me because he's not like, we've interviewed a lot of people in entertainment, a lot of people in movies and TV, especially, through the years. Most people in entertainment don't stay as grounded as John Bokenkamp. He really is very much the same. He seems very much like the same guy that we have known for multiple years, and very grounded, very realistic, very kind. I asked him to come on and talk about with me and to talk about a movie that he wrote called Taking Lives. And he did that even though he knew that I didn't necessarily love the movie, but he was open to honestly discussing the flaws in the movie and stuff. And that's just something people don't like to do in Hollywood. They never want to talk about the things that went wrong. They only want to talk about what went right. And so I give him a ton of credit. And also, Troy, man, thanks for bringing me on the ride. I know we got one more of these to do, but this is the series finale. Some people might never come back. You never know. And people should know that Troy has edited every single episode of this podcast because he refuses to ever let me do it. He has been on every single episode. Even one he refused. What was it? Where you couldn't even make it, and you're like, nah, we'll wait, or we'll do it different. We'll do two together because he refused to miss one because then it's the final season. I can't miss one now. It's ridiculous.
That's right.
Yeah.
We even had to do one solo. Remember that one time I had to do one solo?
Yeah.
25 minutes of me just babbling.
Yeah. And I have to edit the Hollywood Outsider. Yes, that's correct. But he edits this one. Hollywood Outsider has a couple more voices, so that can be probably a little trickier. He and I are really pretty easy to edit, I would guess, at this point.
I'm sure there's going to be a negotiation in my Hollywood Outsider contract. He's like, hey, you got some free time now, don't you, Troy?
Might be. Yeah, you even did one by yourself because you're so freaking weird. But it was it was so weird.
I don't know how to take that, Emily, but I laugh.
Pretty weird. It was pretty weird. I listened to it going, and he's doing it, and I actually wasn't bored. So good job.
That's what they say.
No,
he's never too long. It's only too boring.
He's put a lot of heart and soul into it, and I do realize that, big reason why I asked Daniel Knopf, and I think that's what Troy and I both complimented each other, but it was Troy's idea. Troy figured this out very, very early, and that's really what got John's attention and gave us a lot of opportunities and afforded us a lot of memories that we would not have otherwise. And I know a lot of other podcasts never had the option for, and I'm sorry they didn't have those experiences, but it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride. And we stuck it out to the end, even though I tried to quit multiple times. He wouldn't let me. And here we are.
Yeah.
Not because of anything other than time. It was really just a time factor.
And we should also make a thank you to Susan Patterson, who's been in the Facebook group. She actually helped us get the interview with Daniel Knopf.
Yep.
Big nod to her for making that connection. To Veruca Cruz for the podcast artwork. She let us license from her to use for the podcast. Great design, great idea with the imposter. You don't really know who Red is, kind of logo that you see up there in the top right hand corner of the stream right now. That was Veruca's design. Super awesome that she let us use it. Fantastic. And it's just been, Aaron was great to come on in season 2. We worked for this company called TV Talk. I was lucky enough to have the Blacklist. Aaron was unlucky to have Sleepy Hollow.
I had a Y50 too, and I like that. I liked Y50.
Yeah, I had Revenge, right? I did it. Yeah. 2 guys doing a show that normally females watch. There's like a 1-star review that we got. It was like, why are 2 dudes doing a show for women? It was like, It's the best 1-star review I got. I think I framed it at one point. But yeah, we did TV Talk, and then I was like, Aaron, like, you're watching the show anyway. You've been commenting on our stuff. Like, let's do it together. And Daryl Darnell gave us a home on Golden Spiral Media.
Yes, thanks, Daryl.
I will tell you this. I know that if you're longtime fans, you know that we've been comparing the show to Alias many, 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 many times. A lot of the writers from the show were from the original like Alias days, which were also from the Fringe days. So if you liked the Blacklist, if you liked the writing style from people like Orsi and Eisendrath. Definitely Fringe and Alias are worth your time and effort. If you haven't seen them already, highly recommend. Anna Torv, who is the lead actress in Fringe, was just in the TV show The Last of Us, just got nominated for a guest drama Emmy for her performance in The Last of Us. So that tells you the quality of the actors of Fringe and Alias. So I would definitely go check those out. But the writing staff was just great. No, Troy, just you compared to Alias.
It's true. It's true.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, there's some comparisons, but it's its own thing.
Joey's Pizza, Nick's Pizza. I mean,
there's some nods. There's some nods to it. There's some nods to it, but mostly thanks to you, Troy. I mean, thanks for doing this, and thanks for just being with me on the ride.
I just love hanging out with fans. The fans are the ones that really made the show possible. The fans are the ones that tweet. The fans are the ones that are excited about their heroes, getting to meet them face to face, especially the C2E2 events when we did both of those.
Cool. Those were great.
Just great to hang out with the people. And you mentioned, John making things happen, right? John was the one that called Sony and said, hey, these guys know their stuff. So a big shout out to Caroline Mendoza over at Sony for just being really cool and allowing us to do those C2E2 events. It helped Aaron actually do the Cobra Kai one.
Yeah, Cobra Kai was very cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot from this show that has opened doors for the two of us, and we just hope that continues as we take it all back over to the Hollywood Outsider and keep on trucking.
And you can find the C2E2 panels. I think they're still on YouTube. So if you
actually they're in the if you're watching on YouTube right now, if you go over to videos playlists, or if you go to podcasts, I can't remember how YouTube does it now, but if you go to one of those tabs, there's actually a channel of just interviews, and the C2E2 are in there. Both the C2E2 events are in there, so you can definitely see that. And then you can search on YouTube for C2E2 Cobra Kai and see Aaron in full karate gi.
Yeah, such a nerd. Hey, somebody said, was Red related to Rambaldi? Touche. Well played, sir.
Well played.
Or ma'am. I don't know. It doesn't say.
Yeah, we don't know. But... Facebook user 12345. But
that's funny. I think that's gonna do it for this, though. It's time. It's time to wrap it up. We're going to conclude this discussion. We're going to come back for one more. Don't forget. And if you're a patron, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can ask a question, and we're going to answer patron supporters' questions on that final episode, because that's the least we can do for all the courtesies you've given us or discussion points. You can ask, you can get as direct as you want, and we'll see how colorful we can get with the answers.
Yeah. I mean, how much wine do you have left? Did you finish the bottle, or do you still got some for that last show?
No, I got about half the bottles left.
There you go.
It's a big bottle. Wine is not something I can really down. Sure. If you would have got me a bottle of whiskey, if you're listening, John, I would be cool with a bottle of whiskey. Then that probably would have been gone. And this would be a whole different podcast.
That it would.
In so many ways. That's it, though. So you can still recommend The Blacklist to your friend, your enemy, or your neighbor. And when you do, also recommend and subscribe to the Blacklist Exposed podcast, or for the future of the Hollywood Outsider podcast. All the case profiles can be found at the blacklistexposed.com and everywhere great podcasts can be heard.
And remember, you get all the great music from 10 seasons of The Blacklist on the playlist, both Apple and Spotify. Those are up at theblacklistexposed.com as well. You can just jam out starting tomorrow, for another 10 years straight of music. I think that would be an awesome time before the eventual reunion of the Blacklist cast at some TV event, not Comic-Con in San Diego, since that seems to be disbanding. But ATX in Austin, or South by Southwest in Austin, might be an option.
Hey, Michael Calderon, he's got this in all caps. It's all caps. Okay. Dear God, we got to read it. Go ahead.
Did anyone point this out for the third time? Did anyone mention that Red said in the season 8 finale that his blood disease goes away and comes back stronger? The transfusion with Dembe equals death.
Maybe. I think it goes away because he got medicine that helped him, and then the medicine changes, and he gets new medicine, and then. Yeah, I think what led to death was a freaking bull. Was a freaking bull charging his ass and pummeling him into the ground. Why was the hole so deep? Why was the hole so deep? I don't understand. That's gonna be memed as shit. So many memes.
Is that why he couldn't get away, because he didn't realize he was standing in a ditch?
Oh my God. All right, that's
so
it.
much fun.
Take care, everybody. We'll be back with one more episode to say goodbye to the Blacklist.
Follow Aaron over at Buy Popcorn over on Twitter, and Buy Popcorn is also now on Threads.
Well, it's at the Hollywood Outsider on Threads. It's at the
Hollywood Outsider on Threads.
Yeah,
well,
we
why
actually
did you
had
do
that one available.
So sad.
It wasn't available on Twitter. That's the only reason it's not on Twitter.
That's why you just do at Troy Heinrichs. It's so much easier. But that's me on Twitter and Threads. Not on Twitter as much, probably on Threads more often. But definitely go ahead and find us there. Again, theblacklistexposed.com for anything you want to follow back up on. Remember, for the rest of the month, every email address you have, vote at thepodcastawards.com. Blacklist Exposed in the TV and film category, Hollywood Outsider in the entertainment category, the Blacklist Exposed for People's Choice as well. And of course, when all said and done, when you want to find us next week, every Wednesday, we drop an episode of the Hollywood Outsider in your podcast feed. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the Hollywood Outsider. Also movie reviews. Plus we have a bunch of other shows that we did on that as well. Remake This Movie Right. We did a TV fan podcast for Beyond Westworld. Bad Movie Night. The old episodes are actually now available for free without having to become a Patreon. New episodes you have to be a Patreon for. But please come on over and share the time with us because we'd love to hang out with all of you. We've made great friends over the last decade. No reason it's got to end now. So
absolutely. Stick around.
Stick around. Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much, everybody. And be well. God bless. And sorry, Red. I didn't know the bull was going to get you.
Got so smashed. Like me with his wine. He got so smashed.
One last one for the road. All right. We'll see.
Tom's still dead. He is still dead. God, he sucked.
Peace out, guys. Thanks so much for everything. Have a good one. Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinrichs. That's at Troy Heinrichs on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinrichs.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsider.com or on Twitter at 5popcorn. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of the Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.